After removing Windows from my PC, I came to the realization that I finally have control over my computer back. I've been a Windows user ever since I was a kid, and with Windows 11 and with the decisions Microsoft is making with Windows 11, I finally came to the realization that I can no longer be on Windows. I need to do something to get control of my computer back. After a lot of the decisions and announcements Microsoft had been making, mostly surrounding AI and Windows 11 and the updates and privacy concerns that they're creating from all of the changes they're making with Windows, I came to the realization that I need to go, I need to leave. I just need to get off of Windows, get away from this corporate monstrosity that Microsoft is creating. I decided that I'm going to switch to Linux full stop. I decided that I am going to just completely wipe Windows and fully go to Linux. Now, I'm not a complete stranger to Linux. I have tried Ubuntu in the past just to see what it was like about 10 years ago. After seeing a lot of videos from like Gamers Nexus and Jay's 2 cents, especially around Bazzite, after seeing those videos and seeing what Steam was doing with Proton and with all the advancements Steam and Valve have been making toward making Linux gaming more accessible for everyone, I decided it was time to just go all in. I've also been running into a lot of personal issues with Windows, such as trying to shut down Windows and I leave the room and I come back the next morning and the PC's still running. When I hit shutdown, I saw it shutting down, I leave the room until the morning, I come back and why is the system still on? This shouldn't still be on and running. Also, a lot of other issues such as Windows updates just not working. It's just not updating, it's being extremely intrusive. I'm trying to hit update, but it's literally, the download is failing. So it's just not updating at all. There's also the privacy concerns, the AI being shoved into everything, which I'm AI. Like, Microsoft ecosystem has just gone to complete garbage. Not to mention they're also putting ads everywhere. When did I pay for that? I didn't. I came to the realization I need to switch to Linux. And after seeing the videos from Jay's 2 cents and Gamers Nexus, them attempting to switch and also doing benchmarks, I decided enough is enough. I'm going to Linux. It was barely a second thought when I came to that breaking point of I am just done in switching to Linux, and I did decide to go with Bazzite as my first option. I'm not a complete stranger to Linux. I have used Ubuntu in the past, about 10 years ago, but I was just kind of like exploring to see what Linux was about and what it was capable of 10 years ago, which Linux has come so far beyond what it was 10 years ago. My experience switching to Bazzite was extremely smooth and honestly like refreshing to install Bazzite. It was really reminding me of the old days of installing Windows 98 and Windows XP, where you just put in a disk and it would just work. You would just put in your information, your CD key, and then you just install. Only thing is, you don't need a CD key for Linux because it's free. But outside of that, just setting up your username, your password, and log in, and here's your computer again. And that's what the entire experience when I was installing it and booted it up and looked at it finally. I was just like, I have my computer again. And it felt like I finally was in control again. That the control that Microsoft has been reigning and taking away from users for all these years. Hats off to the Bazzite team for making a really good distribution for users to just go and jump to. Jumping into Bazzite, even though I do a previous Linux experience, I'm not a fan of everything about Linux. There are things that I just don't care to learn immediately. I feel that Bazzite is a great starting point to just say, here, you can just do what you need to do with Linux, with gaming, web browsing, installing a few Flatpaks and certain apps that you need to have running, and we'll make sure that your system stays functional and you can roll back if you need to, and you can't really destroy too many features or anything with Bazzite or the Linux. You can't destroy your system that easily with Bazzite, which I really feel is a good kind of safety net for new users going into Linux. I want to learn Linux at my own pace, and I don't want to be going into a distribution where I need to go into the deep end right away, fully learn terminal, just so that I can like make mistakes. And I feel that Bazzite will let me learn within the limitations of if I want to do, if it doesn't let me do something, well, it's probably the reason I should look into why I can't do that and what I should learn to be able to do that on other distributions. And I feel that that's a good safety net for myself and for other people who just want to switch to Windows and just get up and running to game, browse the web, have Discord up, TeamSpeak. I'm honestly really debating fully switching to TeamSpeak and deleting Discord, especially with all the Discord mumbo jumbo going on right now. But my experience with Linux right now has been an absolute blast. I have been blown away by the gaming support that Steam has, that the entire Linux community has supported and created with Lutris and such as with Wine and Proton, and all of them working together cohesively to run games that may not be on Steam. Also, if you do need Windows programs to run, there's like, I'm using Bottles, for instance, to run my streamer bot so that when I'm live on Twitch, shout out, follow me on Twitch. If I'm live there, I can also have streamer bot running through, pretty much an emulator like Bottles, and I can still have streamer bot up and running. A little glitchy, but it works. I can actually still use streamer bot functionally and have my chat and other features that streamer bot provides for my stream on Linux. But the support and the transition does have a bit of a roadblock that I think it could be a major red flag for some people. For myself, it's turned into something where it's turned more into a red light of developers I choose to support now. And that is the anti-cheat issue with Linux. The work that Steam and Valve have been doing to have gaming run on Linux almost natively as it would on Windows with their Proton layer that converts DirectX to Vulkan instructions to run on Linux has really made almost any game you can think of playable on Linux. The very few edge cases where games won't run on Linux now. The major issue right now with Linux is the anti-cheat that gaming companies choose to implement in their games. The first few games I have played did have anti-cheat on it and they worked fine, such as Dune Awakening, Ark Survival Ascended, and Ark Survival Evolved. I did have an issue where one of those Ark Survival games was trying to use a Linux distribution, and it was just being weird and wonky, and I had to go and make it run the Windows version and select a Proton version so that it would actually run. But outside of selecting those launch options, that was really the only roadblock I experienced having games run on Linux. But outside of that, having those games run out of the box pretty much, Linux can run any game, I feel now. There's nothing really holding Linux back from gaming. The only limit right now in Linux gaming is the support developers are providing for Linux. And the major issue that developers are not supporting in Linux is a simple toggle that they can enable on their anti-cheats. Those games that I listed, they run on Linux. Their anti-cheat supports Linux, they allow Linux to connect. The issue though is that not all developers are allowing and supporting Linux to connect. A lot of the kernel level anti-cheats that will require Windows Secure Boot to function cannot run on Linux. So any game that requires kernel level anti-cheat on Windows cannot run on Linux or cannot connect on Linux. There's even a website called Are We Anti-Cheat Yet? But you can go through the entire list of Are We Anti-Cheat Yet and see which games are supported, plan to support, or just do not support Linux and allows Linux to connect. That's a really good resource to look at to see if the game you want to play can connect to Linux if you're ever thinking of switching. But usually it's easy to tell if a game cannot run Linux if it uses kernel level anti-cheat. There are exceptions to that though, and it really comes down to the developers just refusing to allow Linux to connect to their servers, such as Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. Rockstar added anti-cheat to that game and you cannot connect on Linux. Cannot. However, Red Dead Redemption 2 Online, you can connect no problem on Linux. It runs fine, the game runs fine, online connects no issues because it just doesn't have anti-cheat and it runs fine. It's just Rockstar choosing to not let Linux connect. The same goes with all of the other developers who choose to not let Linux connect to their servers to allow you to play multiplayer with other people. And this whole situation of, wanting to switch to Windows because I don't support Microsoft, it really led me to think, do I really want to support these developers who are choosing to not support Linux? If I don't want to support Microsoft, should I just suck it up and bear it just so that I could play certain online multiplayer games on Linux? Or should I stick to Linux and choose to support game developers who want to actively support Linux and are open to Linux? And then I quickly came to realize I really want to support the developers who want to support Linux after being in the ecosystem for a few months now. Seriously, why would I go back to Windows if the games I want to play and the developers I want to support are on Linux? I mean, the major games that are blocked by Linux aren't games I'm interested in. And I could see how that could be like a big red flag for other people where hey, the game I want to play is only on Windows, so I'm going to be sticking to Windows. And that's fair and 100% valid. If you want to play those games and you want to stay on Windows to play those games, that's completely fine. But I will say, after switching to Linux for months and seeing the game support and the developers that do support Linux, I want to 100% fully commit to supporting those developers and those games, and not dual boot and go back to Windows if I want to play another game or do anything like that. No, my system is fully wiped of Windows, Linux only now. I refuse to go back to Windows. If a developer wants me to play the game, they can support Linux. Simple as that. And I know that might be a harsh take for some people to say now, but that's kind of where I am at now. Instead of focusing on what I hate about Windows and bitching and complaining and, I gotta go back to Windows and Anti-Cheat, I'm just not gonna go back. I'm just not gonna complain. I'm just going to stay on Linux and embrace and support and be happy about the games that do support Linux and allow their anti-cheats to run on Linux, no problem. But that's the gaming side of things. There's also the streaming side and the content creation side and video editing side of things that I also do, and I'm also doing on Linux. Right now, this video is being edited on Linux. My entire process has not changed pretty much at all. OBS has native Linux support, so you just install OBS. It runs fine. You can still stream to Twitch, YouTube, set up your scenes, everything just like OBS, just like before. The only difference is a few different encoding options and naming schemes are a bit different on Linux. But other than that, it's essentially the exact same program. When it comes to video editing, I did have to switch editors. I wanted to kind of look at alternatives that are available on Linux instead of just getting the Linux version of DaVinci Resolve, which you can't get DaVinci Resolve on Linux. There's ways you can do that. But I wanted to look at what other Linux enthusiasts and other Linux creators were using. I decided to try and switch to and currently editing on Kdenlive. My experience with Kdenlive, with the few videos I've created, have all been a very positive experience and a really positive learning experience. It really feels like a very powerful tool. Kdenlive is just as capable of any other editor out there that I've experienced. It's free and on Linux. I mean, there's not really any other way to put it. It's like, if you want to edit videos, you can just install Linux, try Kdenlive, and edit high quality videos right off the bat. It's kind of insane to think about it. No accounts, no tracking, just here's a video editor. Go make videos. Now, the only issue I did experience when switching over to Linux, when it comes to the content creation side of things, was my capture card. My old capture card actually didn't work nicely. I could get it to work, but immediately out of the gate, it was either configured improperly in OBS and just wasn't working, and it changed resolution, scaling, and all that, and it was just a nightmare because you had to get it configured properly for OBS to detect it, and I had to reboot my system every time I change something, save it, reboot, see if it connects and stay connected now, and then it disconnect and reconnect. Well, it was an entire mess. But luckily, I ordered a cheap, like $15, $16 HDMI capture card that goes to USB, and I got it plugged in and it's working perfectly now and without any issues. So just some small little hiccups like that. And that's like the only one that has been like hardware based. Other than that, my experience with Linux has just been extremely positive overall. It feels like I finally have my computer again. I can do what I want with it again. My gaming experience has been phenomenal. Every game I have tried and played, for the most part, have run smoother, not at a higher frame rate, but smoother overall on Linux than I've experienced with Windows. Not because I'm getting higher frame rates, but because the framing times are just a lot more consistent. A much smoother experience gaming on Linux than it is Windows. Being able to stream and edit videos also directly on Linux extremely easily without having to really relearn a whole lot of too much. Everything is extremely straightforward, especially if you have any previous video editing skills, like with Kdenlive, learning it from previous experience with DaVinci Resolve and Sony Vegas. It was extremely easy to pick up and use. If this was the experience on Linux I've had 10 years ago, I would have been on Linux a lot sooner than I am now, and I can say firmly that I am not going back to Microsoft Windows. I am staying on Linux. I am in this for the long haul, and I haven't ran into anything that has made me want to even think about going back to Windows or saying, oh no, this isn't. No, it's been perfectly fine to switch over to Bazzite. And the experience has been extremely positive for me. I have completely wiped Windows, did a fully clean install of Bazzite, and I ran into zero issues. I also run a full AMD system with a 1600 XT and a 5800 X3D CPU. So a full AMD system, and I know Linux really favors AMD. So you really have to go and make sure that you're getting the right distro of Bazzite that comes pre-configured with your own hardware set. It just worked outside of the box after I went through the website and selected the distro that was for me and for my system, and it's been beautiful. It's been an absolute beautiful experience going over to Bazzite. It's led to me trying a lot of different games just to see if they run, and every single one I have tried has ran without issue. And again, the only issues being easy anti-cheat and other anti-cheats out there. And that really comes down to the developers just choosing to not support Linux. So therefore, I am going to personally make the choice to not support those developers anymore. It's really that easy for me. It may not be an easy choice for others, and I can respect that. But this has been my experience switching to Linux. I can't speak for everyone's choice to switch over. Going in this as a noob to Linux with very limited trial of Ubuntu way back in the day, my experience with Bazzite the past few months has been extremely positive. Honestly, if you were thinking about switching to Linux, I would carefully consider if the games you want to play are available through Easy Anti-Cheat. If you're thinking of switching to Linux, I would highly recommend you go to Are We Anti-Cheat Yet? See if the game you want to play, if it's online multiplayer, is available through their anti-cheat to run on Linux. There's also other things to consider, such as is it on Steam or not? Because if it's not on Steam, Steam is kind of like the easiest way to get Linux gaming to work. Outside of that, you kind of got to start doing a lot more fiddling around. Not that it's not hard, but it's just that it takes a few extra steps, and it's not guaranteed to work with every single game that's not supported. For instance, I wanted to try to run the game Kitten Space Agency that's in alpha development right now, and I just couldn't get that to run. I tried, I just couldn't get it to run. I'm just like, okay, this is above my head right now. But it's just like, one of those things where it's just like, I took the time to learn, but I just wanted to see if it would run or not, and it's just like, well, it didn't run. I'm just gonna delete those files and then just move on until I can until I feel like I want to put the time in to figure it out or not. For being someone like a noob like myself who just wants a computer, I just want my computer back, my computer to play games, my computer to browse the internet, my computer to do what I want with. It's been amazing. And I couldn't recommend it more if that is what you're looking for. So yeah, that's been my experience on Linux. I know it's different than the past 2 videos I did about the Skate and the Skate update, but this is kind of the vibe I'm going for. I kind of want to go about gaming. I want to talk about gaming news and gaming updates, and also my experiences with games and hardware, PC hardware. I feel like my perspective could be a little bit different because I was a game developer for a few years. 10 years ago, I decided to leave the industry due to personal and mental health reasons, something that I've been battling every day since. Yeah, I'd like to know what you guys think about switching over to Linux from Windows, especially if you're a gamer. I'd really like to know your thoughts on if you're ever considering it. What are some roadblocks that is kind of stopping you from switching over to Linux? What's something that you wish you could see more on the Linux side of things? If you're a Linux user, you know, what would you want to say to people on Windows right now who want to switch over to Linux? What would you recommend, you know, distribution wise? You know, what would you recommend that they learn before switching over to Linux? You know, just keep the comments honest. I like to make videos to be honest. I like to make videos that promote honesty, and I really want to make videos that push others to deliver honesty. That's what my previous videos on Skate have been about, you know, wanting honesty from the developers, wanting honesty for myself, and providing honesty for myself. I feel that the world will be a bit better if we start being more honest to each other and from ourselves. This is Nick. Keep it honest, and I'll see you guys later.